Imagine nearing the end of your life, gravely ill, and you're listening to profound wisdom, and suddenly chariots from 6 different divine realms arrive to whisk you away.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, this isn't some scene from a fantasy novel, right? It's a centuries-old narrative from ancient Buddhist scriptures, and it's full of unexpected turns and really deep insights.
Absolutely. Welcome, everyone, to a deep dive into the Dhammikaupāsakavatthu, which, well, it translates roughly as the story of Dhammika, the lay devotee.
Okay.
And our source material, it describes his exemplary life, his miraculous passing, and the ultimate destination of this man, Dhammika.
And based on the material, our mission today really is to unpack this incredible narrative. We'll dig into Dhammika's really virtuous life, this surprising celestial visit at his deathbed.
Which is quite something.
It really is. And the fascinating misunderstandings that cropped up, and ultimately the powerful lessons about, true joy and the results of good deeds that the story gives us. So get ready to maybe rethink what it means to be well-informed about this kind of ancient wisdom.
So our journey into Dhammika's life, it starts, like many of these ancient tales, in the city of Savatthi.
Right. A major center back then.
Exactly. And the sources say there were 500 lay devotees there, these Dhammikaupāsakavatthu, that's the term, right, for devout lay followers.
That's the one, Dhammikaupāsaka. But yeah, our story focuses on the chief among them, this man Dhammika.
And what's really striking, isn't it, is that his virtue wasn't just like a personal thing. His whole family seems to embody it.
It's quite remarkable. He had 7 sons and 7 daughters, 14 children.
Wow.
And the text described them all as well-behaved, really following in their father's footsteps. It wasn't just him. It was like a whole family ethic, deeply ingrained.
And that family ethic, it translated into just extraordinary generosity.
Yeah.
The sources are so specific.
Yep, really are.
They detail how each of the 14 children, his wife, Dhammika himself, that 16 people, regularly gave meals to the monks.
And it wasn't just, occasional charity. It was constant. Daily gruel, special meals, fortnightly meals, meals for the whole Sangha, upasatha meals, guest meals, even supplies for the Vasa, the rainy season retreat. It's relentless.
Relentless is a good word. It wasn't casual giving. It was a profound commitment. And this consistent, almost ritualistic generosity, it really points to Dhammika's core qualities.
Like what?
Well, he's described as virtuous, salava, of good character, kalitatamo, and really fond of sharing donations, danasa de vogarato. It suggests that maybe these extraordinary outcomes we're going to talk about, they don't just come from one big act, but from this steady accumulation of quiet, consistent goodness.
It sets the stage, doesn't it? What kind of person lives like this? And it leads into the extraordinary events later on.
Exactly. It shows the merit he built up.
So we have this picture of Dhammika living this profoundly virtuous life. But, well, life happens. He eventually got very sick.
Yes, gravely ill. His life force was fading. He knew his time was near.
And yet, even then, so weak, his desire wasn't for, comfort or distraction. He wanted to hear the Dhamma, the Buddhist teachings.
It's incredibly telling, isn't it? His priority, even at the very end, spiritual nourishment.
So what did he do?
He sent a message to the teacher, the Buddha, asking for 8 or maybe 16 monks to come and recite for him.
And the Buddha sent them.
He did. The teacher understood. He sent the monks, and they gathered, sitting around Dhammika's bed.
And Dhammika, feeling weak, he didn't just want any teaching. He specifically requested the Satipatthana Sutta.
That's right, a very important discourse, described in the texts as not abandoned by all Buddhas, high praise.
Wow. So the monks start reciting this powerful sutta, beginning with that famous line, "This is the sole path, bhikkhus, for the purification of beings."
And right there, at that exact moment, as the words are being spoken, something truly astonishing happens.
This is the bit with the chariots?
This is the bit with the chariots, 6 of them, magnificently adorned, each drawn by 1,000 horses, appearing from 6 different divine realms.
6 realms, like different levels of heaven.
Essentially, yes, different deva realms. And they'd apparently traveled a huge distance, 150 yojanas, maybe around 1,000 miles, give or take, to be there.
Just incredible. Celestial limousines pulling up, and the deities in them, they call out to Dhammika.
They do. They're inviting him, saying, "Come with us. We'll take you to our divine realm. Delight here with us." It's like breaking an earthen pot and getting a golden one.
What an offer. A direct upgrade to a heavenly realm.
Pretty compelling offer, you'd think. But Dhammika's response is what's fascinating. He doesn't jump at it.
What does he do?
He doesn't want to interrupt the Dhamma recitation, the very thing he asked for. So he tells the deities, wait, wait.
He tells the deities to wait, not the monk.
Exactly. He's focused on the teaching, even with, eternal bliss calling. It shows incredible focus.
But this is where it all goes wrong, communication-wise.
Right, the grand misunderstanding. The monks, of course, they can't see or hear these divine chariots or the deities. So when Dhammika says, wait, wait, they assume he's talking to them, telling them to stop the recitation. So they fall silent.
Oh, no. And his family. His sons and daughters are there too, right?
Yes, and they witness this. They see their father, who was so eager to hear the Dhamma, apparently telling the monks to stop. And they break down. They start wailing.
Why? What do they think?
They think he's finally cracking under the fear of death, that despite his virtue, the fear has overwhelmed him, making him push away the very teachings he loved. They even cry out, there is no being who does not fear death.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. They completely misinterpret his intention.
Completely. And the monks, seeing the distress, hearing the crying, probably thinking Dhammika is agitated, they figure, well, this isn't the right time for recitation, so they just get up and leave.
Wow, what a scene. Multiple layers of reality, multiple perspectives, leading to total confusion. It really highlights how limited our own perception can be, doesn't it?
It really does. Unseen realities colliding with the observable world.
So the monks have left, the family is distraught. What happens then?
Well, after a little while, Dhammika sort of regains his full awareness, his mindfulness. He hears his children crying and asks them, why are you crying?
And they explain their misunderstanding.
Yes. They tell him they thought he was stopping the monks because he was afraid.
How does he react?
He clarifies immediately. He says, no, I wasn't talking to the venerables. There are deities here from 6 divine realms. They're calling to me from chariots up in the sky, saying, come to light in our realm. They were the ones I told to wait.
And can the children see them now?
No, still can't see them. He tells them, but they can't perceive that reality.
Okay, so he's explained the chariots. Then what?
Then he asks his children a really interesting question. He asks them which divine realm they think is the most delightful.
He asks them, why?
Perhaps to involve them, or maybe testing their knowledge, or perhaps genuinely seeking their input on his destination. The text doesn't explicitly say why, but it's a key moment.
And what do they say?
They reply, the Tusita heaven is delightful, Father. That's the dwelling place of all bodhisattvas and the mother and father of Buddhas.
Ah, Tusita heaven. A very significant realm in Buddhist cosmology. The realm where future Buddhas often reside before their final birth.
Exactly. A place associated with wisdom and compassion.
So they recommend Tusita. What does Dhammika do? Does he just say, okay, Tusita it is?
Not quite. He does something incredibly practical, almost like providing evidence.
Yeah.
He asks, do you have any flower garlands?
Flower garland.
You say yes. He tells them, okay, throw a garland up towards the sky, aim for the chariot that came from Tusita heaven.
Seriously, throw a garland at an invisible chariot.
That's what he says. And they do it. They throw the garland, and miraculously it hooks onto the front of one of the unseen chariots and just hangs there, suspended in midair.
Whoa, so they can't see the chariot.
No, but crucially, the text says the large crowd that had presumably gathered, they could see the flower garland hanging there in the sky.
Tangible proof of the invisible. A thread connecting the realms.
Precisely. A visible sign of an unseen reality.
So Dhammika points to the garland.
Yes, he shows them the garland hanging there and says, basically, see, that's hanging from the chariot from Tusita heaven. That's where I'm going, so don't worry.
Amazing. And he gives them final instructions too, doesn't he?
He does. He tells them, if you wish to be reborn near me, keep performing merits according to the rules I've established, guiding them even as he's about to depart. Such peace, such purpose.
Incredible presence of mind, and then
he passes away. And immediately he is established in that chariot from Tusita heaven.
An instant transition.
Instantaneous. And his rebirth is described as, well, magnificent. A body measuring 3 gavutas that's maybe 6 miles tall, roughly.
Miles.
That's the description. Adorned with ornaments equal to 60 cartloads, surrounded by 1,000 celestial nymphs, and a jeweled mansion, 25 yokanas across, appears for him.
Wow. The result of his merit made manifest immediately and on a grand scale.
A very vivid illustration of it, yes. And it shows that deep sense of peace and purpose right up to the last moment, guiding his family even as he moved on.
Meanwhile, back at the monastery, the monks return.
Right. And the teacher, the Buddha, asks him, so did Dhammika get to hear the discourse?
And they have to explain the confusion.
They do. They recount how Dhammika said, "Wait,"
Mm.
how the children started crying, and how they felt it wasn't right to continue, so they left.
How does the Buddha respond? Does he chastise them?
Not at all. He simply sets the record straight. He explains, he wasn't speaking to you monks. He was speaking to the deities from the 6 divine realms who had come to invite him.
Clarifying the whole situation.
Exactly. He explained Dhammika's intention was precisely not to interrupt the Dhamma. He just wanted to finish hearing it before accepting the invitation.
And did the Buddha confirm where Dhammika went?
Yes, the teacher confirmed that Dhammika was indeed reborn in Tusita heaven, just as Dhammika himself had told his family.
So the monks, hearing this, they must have had a reaction.
They did. They observed, "Bhante, venerable sir, having rejoiced here among his relatives, he was reborn in a place of rejoicing," kind of summing up his journey.
From joy here to joy hereafter.
Precisely. And the teacher affirms this, saying something really key. Indeed, householders or renunciants who are heedful rejoice everywhere.
Everywhere. Not just here or there, but everywhere.
Everywhere. And to really drive this point home, the Buddha then uttered a powerful verse, a gatha.
What did it say?
Here he rejoices. Hereafter he rejoices. The doer of good deeds rejoices in both places. He rejoices. He greatly rejoices, seeing the purity of his own deeds.
That's beautiful, seeing the purity of his own deeds.
And the explanation that often accompanies this verse clarifies it further. A doer of good deeds rejoices here, in this life, by reflecting, you know what, I haven't done harmful things, I've done good. There's an inherent joy in that purity, in that ethical conduct.
An internal satisfaction almost.
Exactly, that's the rejoicing here. And then they rejoice hereafter because of the positive results, the vipaka, the karmic fruit of those good deeds.
Like Dhammika's spectacular rebirth.
Dhammika is the perfect case study for this verse. He clearly rejoiced in this world through his consistent meritorious actions, his generosity, his virtue, and now he greatly rejoices in the Tusita heaven. He rejoices in both places.
And this teaching, this whole story and the verse, it had a real impact on those listening to the Buddha.
A profound impact. The sources say that at the end of this discourse, many in the audience attained significant spiritual milestones, like stream entry, the first stage of enlightenment.
So it wasn't just a nice story, it was a truly transformative teaching. It ties everything together, the actions, the intentions, the results, the nature of joy.
Absolutely. It provides this core insight into the enduring power and benefit of ethical action and mindfulness.
What a remarkable deep dive that was. We've really seen how Dhammika's life, this life of just consistent virtue and generosity, it led to this absolute unique transition. Celestial realms literally opening up.
And we explored those fascinating misunderstandings too, didn't we?
Yeah.
How easily wires can get crossed when different realities, seen and unseen, intersect.
Right. And we saw that tangible proof, the garland hanging in the air, a sign of that accumulated merit. It really does highlight these unseen connections.
Connections between our actions and their far-reaching consequences.
This whole narrative, it feels like such a vivid illustration of that ancient wisdom. That our actions, our intentions, our mindfulness, they matter profoundly, both in this life and whatever comes next. It really brings home that idea. The doer of good deeds rejoices in both places.
And as the teacher said, those who are heedful, whether they're householders like Dhammika or monks, renunciants, they rejoice everywhere.
Everywhere. So maybe the final thought for you listening is, what does rejoicing everywhere truly mean for your life? How might understanding this idea, the purity of one's own deeds, the way Dhammika embodied it, how might that impact the choices you make today?
Knowing their potential ripple effect, the joy they might bring now and perhaps later too.
Exactly. It's an invitation, really, from this ancient story to reflect on our own actions and their enduring impact, maybe far beyond what we can immediately see.